Good morning, you guys. It's morning Oasis time. I'm going to give it a minute while you guys come in and just put away a few things because my desk is chaos. Total chaos this morning. It's been an interesting weekend. These energies coming through are intense, doesn't quite cover it. I don't know if you can tell, but my face is super puffy. I got like nowhere near enough sleep last night. The early morning wake up was super lame for me. I woke up so confused and like lost feeling. I had no idea where I was or why I was up in the dark. And yeah, so it's been an interesting time. And just to let you guys know, the full moon energy actually, good morning, Kali, sorry. Good to see you in here. Okay, so that full moon energy, it actually is present for the day before the full moon, so from Saturday all the way through to the day after the full moon. It's really that 3-day period around the full moon when we experience the most intensity of that energy. So yeah, we're all still right in the thick of it. I had this really wacky dream last night. It was another one of those dreams where it's like no matter how much I woke up. Good morning, Sue. Yeah, Justine, I'm not at all surprised that you felt it and are feeling it. I'm still like kind of sleepy. Yeah, it was a really crazy dream. Like I dreamed I was at a gym and I was going to be using the gym facility for a gym and also for, oh, morning, Stormy, and also for as a session space. And so like I'd gone and I'd worked out and then, and I remember I'd parked around the corner from the gym and then I went to take a shower and the shower was like in this lobby area. Yeah, I'm totally wiped out. And the lobby area, I had to like pull a privacy curtain around the shower space. And it was like a huge curtain. It was actually a 3-part curtain in order to do that. And then after I was done taking my shower, one of my neighbors came in to see me for a session in the shower area where suddenly there's a bed also. And she just lays down. And I've never worked with her before, this particular neighbor. And so I start working with her and she's ready to go. She like starts crying and this nurse comes in and the nurse is this woman who is she's a pre-op trans woman who I've known for, God, a couple decades. She's worked at the Safeway that I've frequented. I used to live right next door to that Safeway and now I live just down the road from it. And so we've known each other for a really long time, but in the dream we didn't know each other. And she's like really bothered that this woman is laying here crying and I'm not. And she's like, what did you do to her? And then the woman, my neighbor, she's like, well, we're in a session. And the lady's like, what does that mean? What do you mean you're in a session? And my neighbor's like, I'm in the middle of sharing something and it's really important. And the lady asks me, what is it that you think you're doing here? And I said, well, it's like a mental health, like a therapy, but I'm a consciousness teacher and expander. And I'm working with her on some limiting belief systems. And it was just like, and so she throws us out, right? And this other woman shows up for her session. She's like the next session person. And I'm like, okay, guys, I'm going to go get my stuff out of the locker. I'll just meet you out front. And when I go out, suddenly like this gym space is huge and I'm walking along and my husband is swimming laps and I'm like walking along with him while he's swimming, doing the backstroke. And he's going faster than I'm walking and I'm like walking fast. And so then I start running and then I'm in this water park and it was was like one thing after another, and having to climb, and people just keep kicking me out of these spaces. They're like, well, are you done yet? Are you done yet? And they're not telling me to leave, but they're not comfortable with me there. So it was really, it was a deep dream, and it didn't stop. And so when I finally woke up, I felt exhausted. Yeah. Oh, then I had to wake up and pee like 4 times. And every time I go drop right back in, it was really exhausting. I feel like I spent the whole night running. Yeah. But anyways, so I'm going to jump into the card pulls. I only have one request for today, which is Justine. Yeah, it was pretty powerful, and I'm pretty sure I know what it means. Justine, my tarot cards, they just called. They're like, yeah, us. So I'm going to use my Shadowscapes Tarot, which I love this deck. This one is by Stephanie Mui Pullman, I believe is her name. I just bought a second deck because they were, my old cards have been with me for years, and they're just kind of getting ratty, so I have a fair deck. But it's this is the Shadowscapes. This is the book that she produced with it. So it's Stephanie Pui Moon. It's PUI-MUN Law is the artist and organizer of the deck. No, I didn't end up getting a deck, Jessie. I didn't go into any stores at all. And then Barbara Moore worked with her on this one. And I think Barbara Moore did more of the writing in the book. So there's like the first time I got this, there was maybe 2 sentences per card as an explanation. And okay, so we've got Stormy and Jessie and Justine to pull for today. So now the slots are filled. Anyone wants to request for tomorrow, let me know. So yes, I absolutely love this deck. I have found that this is one of my most powerful decks for tarot reading. It's the one I read the most out of. It's extremely intuitive. She comes from I believe she's Hawaiian, so she's kind of got that background. She uses non-religious symbology, so I really love this deck. It's really one of my favorites. So I'm actually hearing all the pulls are going to come from this deck today. Okay, so let's see, Justine. It's already coming through, Justine. Whew, you said you're going through something, so all right, and this is for all of us, you guys. I can just feel it right away, but Justine in particular, it's the Fool. So when we pull the Fool, this means that we're stepping out of the full lesson set. We're actually not learning. This isn't about learning. This is about allowance. This is about letting go of everything that you've learned. This is about, it's time to break all of these ideas, these preconceived notions, these thoughts, these beliefs, and be the Fool. The Fool is not an idiot. The Fool just has no context. She's not, she doesn't have any idea. Even if she were to fall off of this pillar, she doesn't know that that means anything other than being in air, being in flight, being not on the pillar, right? So she's coming in, the energy of the Fool is, and it's strong right now because we really don't know right now. What we think we know about ourselves, what we think we know about everything that's going on, we really don't know. So the Fool energy is strong right now. So when you're feeling like you can't get a grip on stuff and you can't figure out what your footing is, don't try to have footing. Lay on your back and float. Let yourself be carried wherever it is that you're going. And whatever it is that's put before you is an experience that is just for you. So that's what I'm getting for you, Justine. Jessie, I think you were the next one to say please. So, yeah, all of us are going through a lot right now, you guys. A lot. Oh, so Jessie, you got the 6 of Cups. The 6 of Cups, so cups are all about the intuitive, that internal, the heart, and feelings and emotions and subconscious thoughts. And the 6 of Cups is a beckoning back to childhood. So there's probably this element of like, of when ideas were formed. I'm going to feel this for just a minute. It's who you decided that you were as a child. Sometimes when this card comes up, it can mean it's time to take a journey back to where you were born or back to your childhood home or your hometown. I'm not sensing that so strong. I'm sensing more like connection with people from your childhood, and mostly connection with who you thought yourself to be as a child, and time to really look at who that was and who that is, and that you're not there anymore. It can also mean bringing that childlike innocence into the present. I'm not feeling that for you personally, but there are some who need that also, need to remember that it's time to pull that childlike innocence forward. You already have that childlike sense of play, so it's not saying that you need to bring that in more. It's saying you need to recognize that already is there and allow that to be there. But childhood is not, we tend to romanticize childhood, especially for those who didn't have extremely traumatic childhoods. They tend to think of childhood as this romanticized period, and childhood is actually pretty dark. It's hard. It's rough on kids. They have no sense of personal power. Everything's decided for them. Everything's created for them. Everything's purchased for them. They're subject to the whim of their parents' moods, their parents' feelings. I mature and accept my responsibility, but I'll be damned if I grow up. Exactly. You don't have to grow up, Jesse. So there's a lot of hardship in childhood, and kids are mean. They're mean. They're mean to each other. They're mean to themselves, and they're taught to hide it. Right? I remember hearing from this preschool teacher when my son was being bullied by this little boy. And by being bullied, I mean this little boy whipped him in the cheek with a jump rope, bit his leg when he was coming down the slide, and drew blood through his jeans. He pushed him off of a ladder so my son couldn't get up onto this loft area. So he fell 6 feet to a floor that was linoleum over concrete. And by that point, I had to take him to get an MRI because he had a headache that didn't go away for days. And I was furious. And I had already been into the school a couple times with the other incidents. And at that point, I'm like, I'm going to press charges with you guys if something doesn't change, because this is unacceptable. This is an unsafe environment. And it wasn't just my son this boy was bullying. So I remember the teacher said to me, he's not bullying. He's only 4.5. They're too young to know what bullying is at this age. Well, the truth is, they know how to bully from the second they come out of the womb. They know how to control, manipulate, and dominate through behavior, through all of that. It's teaching children to not bully, to be compassionate, to think outside of themselves that they don't know at that age unless it's instilled. And with my son, it was instilled because he was strong, he was powerful, energetically, physically. As his favorite game when he was like 3 was rolling me on the carpet, and I'd like tuck in like a log and he'd roll me around. So this is another piece of childhood, is that piece of ourselves that's the bully, that's the meanie, that beats us up, that treats us like we're not of value and of worth. So that's also coming through for you. Jesse, you've been bullying yourself a little bit. All right, so Stormy. Yeah. Are you currently on a journey? Because it looks like you're journeying. This is the 3 of Wands. And the 3 of Wands is about having that longer view. It's a long journey. It's a longer perspective. It's being able to see the course all the way down at the other side of that journey. Oh, she's looking all the way down to the river. At the other side of the river, really beyond the canyon. And if she were down in the canyon, it would be impossible to see where the longer term perspective of her growth and going is. So I'm getting that you are going on a long journey, and you've talked to me about this also. And it's a good one, right? The suit of wands is all about your passion, your creativity, transmutation, taking a piece of wood and transmuting it through fire, right? So it's bringing in that fire energy, that fire element. So bring in the fire, okay? And bring in the energy and the creation, and recognize that though at points you're going to get in these valleys and you're going to feel a little lost, but remember this longer perspective that you're gaining right now. Sue, I'll totally put you down for tomorrow. And and then we'll do that tomorrow. So I know some of you guys are wanting to hear about my journey this weekend. It was amazing. It was powerful. It was intense. So it was kind of a collective that was journeying. So it was my friend Mariah and I went last time to the sweat up at our friend Rudy's house, who's the medicine man, and up in Washington. And this time we took with us, we both took our children. My son's Voss went, and her daughters went, and one of her daughter's friends went. Her sister came, and one of Mariah's sister, and Michelle, who, if you guys saw the Morning Oasis special that we did where it was Michelle and Mariah and I, those were two of the women that were there. And also Mariah's friend Amanda came, and it was my first time meeting her. My friend Brian, who's the Dragon Master, came, his first time meeting all of them. And so, yeah, we kind of caravanned it, and I had the teenagers and Brian and the little one with all the women was in the other car, and they took the bunny. And so we all got up there, and as soon as we got there, it was time to go into the sweat. We were thinking it was going to be a sunrise sweat, but Rudy felt it out and felt it was better to do a midnight sweat and or moonlight sweat. And the moon, it was surrounded by 3 moon bows. I've never seen 3 moon bows around a moon before. Somebody else ended up posting, I think Tiffany Styles posted a picture of 3 tight moon bows around the moon where she was at. So I think it was around the world that we were getting this moon bow effect. And it was extremely powerful. We went in and, we don't really talk too much about what happens during the sweat. It's a sacred ceremony, a sacred space. Some other people joined us for the sweat itself up there. We came out, and we went and had dinner. We started eating dinner at 11:11. And, all the kids were still up. 2 of the girls came into the sweat. My son wanted to take pictures around. And he's never come with me on a journey before. And he ended up having such an amazing time that he, not only does he want to start journeying with me whenever I go now, which I'm so excited for, but also he wants to join in the sweat next time. Super excited for that. I wouldn't have let him this time because he still has a cast on. I don't want him to sweat through his cast, and that would just be uncomfortable. And he's got the pin in still. So anyway, we all stayed up late playing music and talking and playing with the bunny. And then the next morning we made a giant meal, and they went, and all of the adults went and prayed again in the sweat lodge. I was guided to not join them for that. I stayed inside and played my guitar and played music, which was what I needed, and responding to what we need and not the pressure of what is going on around us is so critical at this time. So, so then we went, and my friend Deborah, who's amazing and has this property that's unreal. If you saw the pictures on Facebook, the house with all the greens around it, that's her property. It's right on a river. It's extremely sacred ground. It's in Rose Valley, and we were on Bear Ridge, So she had made a meal for us that was just amazing, and everybody. It was the perfect, first we had fire energy, fire medicine, fire and earth, and then we came to Deb's and we finished the ceremony out with air and water. A beautiful cleansing and releasing space. So it was such a journey. One of the things that Rudy gave me when I left was this turtle shell. He's a medicine man, so I don't know if he knows this, but turtles are one of those totems for me that are very powerful, especially the sea turtles. This is a box turtle, and so this was a powerful gift from him. I will eventually turn it into a turtle rattle, but for right now, it's just the shell for me. And so, yes, it was extremely powerful. For me, this time has just been about breaking and releasing. Everything in my life is kind of showing me that what my role is, who I came here to be. And I've resisted that. I've resisted that all along. Usually people have to push me kicking and screaming into it. For instance, over the last 4 years, as I've been, 5 years, as I've been doing my own training and my own really focused intention of what it is to step on a path of allowance, what it is to show up and be present, what it is to release notions and concepts of the self and allow the creation to show me who I am. I've been teaching, and people, I would always say I'm not a teacher, I'm just a learner, and I'm here to share this information with everybody as I'm learning it. And everyone would say to me, well, all of my early students, they would say, Jessie, you are a teacher, you were my teacher, or they would introduce me as their teacher, and I'd get really uncomfortable, and I'd be like, I'm not actually a teacher, I'm just learning, I don't really know anything, I'm just learning these things. And it was extremely difficult for me to take that role on, to step into that role. And so, I never felt like I could do it by myself. I always felt like I wasn't enough on my own. So I was trying to gather this group around me. And really it's that I could just feel my group, my soulkin group, but I hadn't found all of them yet. So I was trying to make the people that were around me be that group. And so I started the Crystal Cocoon with 2 other healers. Powerful people, beautiful people. And the Crystal Cocoon is it ended up being nothing more than just a podcast that we did for, I guess, about 6 months, 6 or 7 months. And really great information is there. If you want to listen to it, it's on YouTube. But through that, we each, in our own way, deconstructed ourselves, deconstructed back down into something that we weren't aware of as we were individuals. And Hannah Neal left the group early, and it was just Brandon and I in the end, and everything was deconstructing around us, and we were trying to hold it together because we could feel this group idea, this concept. And when I stepped away from that and was like, I need to stop hiding behind other people. That was last spring. Actually, it was right around this time. It was February 18th, March 13th. We're at right now. I think it was March 16th is when I launched my Healing Pathwalkers again as an independent thing instead of as a collective thing. And I was like, I'm here to be a teacher. And I finally stepped into that role. And over this last year, I've been stepping more and more into that role and trying to figure out, how do I serve? Who am I serving? What am I doing in service? So this dream of the tonight, this morning, of being lost and of trying to figure out where my place is and not having a space and this constant water flowing through was really about releasing all of that. And over the weekend, one of my good friends, Jesse, he kind of outed me, put my show in more public arenas and put it out there. And I know that is supposed to happen. I've been getting readings from others, and they're telling me to prepare and that this is going to occur. Thank you, Jesse. So I knew it was coming, but I also was told that I was going to get this pause and that the pause would allow me to be ready for that coming. And so I'm like, I'm supposed to be paused right now. Like, oh my God, it just overwhelmed me. And everything that I believe came forward to just kind of shut me down a bit. And, and that is, I was told as a child I was too arrogant, I was a know-it-all, I had too much ego, I was a show-off, I just wanted everyone to pay attention to me, I was a motor mouth, right? Like, so all these beliefs around myself. And the funny thing was the people that were saying that stuff to me, they were the ones that wanted all the attention. I just wanted to share information. I just wanted to share what I knew. Not because I wanted people to go, oh my God, she knows so much, but because I wanted them to know. Because I'm like, this is amazing. Did you hear about this? And have you heard about this? And have you heard about this? And oh my God, it's so amazing. And I'm just like, I've always wanted to lift everybody up and out of confusion, right? So, of course, that came up. That had to come up. It was this tiny little comment by one of my friends on the journey who said, who barely knows me really, honestly. He's had very little encounters with me. And he said, oh, this is the first time you've been peaceful. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. I'm very peaceful. I don't know who you are. I'm peaceful. And that whole ego came in, like, of judgment, of criticism, and I just had to work through it. I had to work through it all. And so it was just one thing after another, kind of giving me that punch to get me into that space of it's time to let go of these beliefs about yourself. Even if there's a part of you that enjoys being received, being agreed with, being held up, being shown by others, being supported, even if there's a part of you that feels like, oh, it's so awesome, because there is, that does not make it bad or wrong. It's the positive reinforcement for the work that you're doing, that I'm doing. Oh yeah, I was right there with you in the dark, Jesse. I mean, I was in my dark, right? But we were in the dark. And so when I flipped in my book to see what this moon, this fourth moon of this year so far is, it's about bringing out your warrior self, bringing out your warrior spirit, bringing out and emerging the part of you that recognizes that you are worth fighting for, worth fighting over, worth being seen and valued and recognized. That's what we're in right now. So that's why we're going through it right now. And I know that so many of you who watch this and who connect with my work are going through the same thing right now. I can feel it. I know that's going on, and this is a collective thing. So today, I really don't know what our meditation is going to be, but we'll see what comes out of it. I have a sense it'll be something about bringing this warrior self out, bringing out this our true identity, really connecting into who we came here to be. I know that I am a hub point for many, and that many connect to me and thereby become connected to each other. So that's for me a part of my role, but I have a sense that each of you who connect with me are hubs for your community. So I think it'll also be around your hubbiness, being a hub. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Go ahead and get yourself comfortable. We're going to start getting ready to jump into meditation space. I took the bell off the bunny so we won't be distracted by that. Gypsy the kitty is passed out, so we shouldn't be distracted by his bell either. The hub is upstairs. He doesn't have to go anywhere. My hub, my husband. So we're going to have a nice, quiet, peaceful meditation. Go ahead and make sure you're sitting or laying comfortably. By this point, I'm guessing most of you lay. I'm also going to use a little bit of support of some oil. I'm just getting a really strong message of it. You can tune into me. I'm using clary sage and lavender to support this meditation. You can maybe even feel it and smell it. Oh, I love you too, Sarah. Welcome. I didn't see you in earlier. Oh, your dog rings a bell. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of use this oil. I like to put it in my hair, on my crown, my third eye, and right below my nose so I can smell it nice and strong. I'm going to go ahead and smell it. Tune into my consciousness for a moment, or for the rest of the meditation, and see if you can't smell it too. Lavender and clary sage, opening up our lines of communication, soothing and supporting those parts of ourselves that feel anxious, fearful, less than, as we step into this role that we came here to do. Wow, you guys are great. I'm already feeling so many of you coming in. Okay. So let's go ahead and start dropping our roots down as we bring our breath into the body of this present moment. And exhale, releasing and unhooking from all those things that have happened today and before today. Good. Breathing in, present moment, present awareness. Smelling that lavender and sage. And exhaling. Continue unhooking from your day before, your morning. Breathing in, present moment, present awareness. And unhooking yourself from all that you have to do after you get done here, from the rest of today. Breathing in, present moment, present awareness. As I remember not to turn off my phone. And as you exhale, go ahead and start unhooking these expectations you have of yourself at this time, in this space. Just going to breathe for a moment. We're going to bring our attention to the soles of our feet as we begin to feel them growing and swelling. Bringing in that tree consciousness that exists over centuries, that holds its ground as the earth around it changes and shifts. Allowing our roots to spread wider and deeper. Some of us, our consciousnesses don't originate here on Earth, but we have been focused here on Earth for quite a time. So if you feel drawn to ground deeper and into other planets in our solar system or in other parts of the galaxy, this is the time to allow yourself to do so. Allow yourself to drop some roots, reaching to Mars, to Maldak, to anywhere else you feel drawn, if it's beyond this creation, beyond this solar system. Effortlessly and gracefully allowing your taproots to go through Gaia, through Earth, and out through those other planetary bodies. You don't have to know their name or pull it into your consciousness at this time. That's why I'm not naming them. Just allow. Continue dropping those roots until you feel yourself dropping into the center of the galaxy, of our greater galaxy, of our supercluster of galaxies, into the center point that is drawing all, where all becomes the singularity. Where we all become one. Where we all are the original thought. Going through that point of singularity into the dark, into the shadow on the other side of this brilliant light. And this is where we're going to ground into. Allowing that deep, ancient knowledge to come up through our roots, drawing it back through all lines leading into us, through our grounding, as we feel that infinite light of the Creator, of the creation, shining down upon us. Allowing the leaves and our branches to turn into that light, to open. Allowing the crown to blossom. And as we do so, we're going to allow the crown of each and every cell within our collective, our body complex, to also open, while it feels its infinite grounding and connection. And let's just allow this process to go through the vessel for a time, without thought, without intention, We all will call in the Fool within us as we experience and as the garbage gets dumped right outside. As each one of our cells is grounding and connecting, it also is releasing all this debris that it's been holding. And the only way our body can actually release this is through our breath, through our skin, through our excretions. So we're going to allow our body to release all that it is releasing gracefully, quickly, and optimally, bringing us into our most optimum expression of self as we flow this consciousness energy through us, the infinite creative consciousness. Now I want you to ask from Source for a strand of thread. This thread is like, what reminds me of this song, if you want to destroy my sweater, pull this thread and walk away, right? We want to deconstruct this shell that we've built around ourselves. So we're going to ask for this thread, the thread that has built and constructed our own prison, locking us away from our true expression, our true memory, our true self. And we're going to begin to pull on this thread as we tear down the wall. So begin pulling on that thread. And continue pulling. If you need to pull with your hands or to pull with your mind, we're going to pull that thread strand and we're going to keep pulling. And anything that pops into our mind, ideas about ourselves, beliefs about ourselves, whatever limitations that have held us back, we're going to look at them. We're not going to do anything to them. We're just going to look and observe until they release. As we deconstruct this barrier, and as some parts get harder to pull, we're going to recognize this is where threads got crossed and interwoven with other threads. We're going to take our time with these parts that slow us down. Just like we were wanting to salvage the yarn and not destroy it too much, we're going to look at what happened here as we deconstruct and support the deconstruction a little more as we pull. Deconstructing. And at this point, you might even have a sense of what your thread is made of. Maybe it's made out of metal. Maybe it's made out of yarn. Maybe it's made out of fibers from a tree. Whatever it is, just get a sense of it. Because this is something that protects us too, right? Not just holds us, it also protects us. So it's part of the elements we're linked in with. as we deconstruct. We might even see that there's others tucked within our construction. We're going to allow them to find their own structure. We're not going to make them be a part of us. We're not going to force them to be deconstructed with us. We're going to recognize that they're lumped in and release them. And if that means that we have to release that piece of the garment or of the straitjacket we're in, we're going to let that piece go, because all of us are one. So by it being with them, it's still a part of us. They're a part of us. But we don't have to hold on to every little bit. So we're going to just release and know that those who need that piece, who need that part, we're serving, and we're grateful, and we willingly and lovingly release this for them. As we continue pulling that thread and deconstructing. And as we start to get into the parts that have held the anger, the frustration, the rage, the injustice, we're going to just pull a little slower because the thread gets more brittle. We're just going to be more careful as we pull and be so grateful for the burden this thread has borne in this part as we release, because we no longer need injustice, rage, fury, invalidation, dismissal. We release and deconstruct these two from our makeup of what is self. We're going to continue pulling until there's nothing left to pull, until we get to the end. Which I'm feeling that many of you have gotten there. If you're not quite there yet, just keep pulling. It's okay. Know that timing is perfect. For the rest of us, we're going to take that big, gigantic pile of yarn that once made up the iron will and identity that we carried, and look at it in its deconstructed state. We don't have to untangle it. We don't have to ball it. We don't have to do anything with it. Just look at it. Look at all the colors that are in it. Look at the shades and the tones and how varied they are in this mess. Look at how the texture changed from this side to that, from the top of the pile to the bottom. The gauge of the thread has changed and varied. variegated. And because this pile looks and feels so overwhelming, we're going to remember we are not alone. And we're going to call in our team of support, our companions, our guides, our angels, to come in and gather this thread from our laps for us as we allow another to support us. And as they lift that up off of us, and we feel the cool, fresh air blowing against our skin and through our bodies, they lift that big pile and they carry it back up into that infinite source consciousness so that it can be learned from by the creation, and so that it can be recycled and reused and turned back into that infinite love and abundance. And we are free of this shell that confined, defined, consumed us. Let's just take a moment to feel this freedom, this release. If you need to move and adjust the body to feel this freedom even more deeply, do so. Some of you are beginning to receive a gift from the Creator. Allow it to come down. Allow that gift to come down, not as a oppression, but as an allowance. This is your star cloak. And allow it to come around you. As the Creator shows you all the infinite ways it sees you, all the ways you came here to be. Just receive. Some of you are being shown symbols, images, and ideas. Allow and observe and receive. While we hold space for each other in this collective. And remember to breathe. Breathe in the love, the value the Creator holds for you. Go ahead and stay in this state for as long as you need to receive all you're ready for. I love you, and I'll see you in the morning.